Less landlords own property. Well, if that's a headline, it's a pretty obvious one, isn't it, really? But it's very interesting to see how the areas have altered in terms of the percentage of properties owned by landlords. And I've got a bit of a surprising fact for you at the end, which might mean you scuttling up north very quickly to buy some investment properties. So here we go. Bear with me because there's a lot of figures, so I'm going to have to look at them. Okay, so the share of properties bought by landlords fell from 15% in 2015 to 10% last year. Now that's obviously an average across the whole of UK. Where is the greatest fall? Where do you think it is? Well, let me tell you, south of the country, the wealthy south they call it, don't they? The south-north divide, well, that dropped 16%. So there's 16% less people owning property as landlords in the south of the country, which is very interesting. And of course, London, that's had a hell of a knock, you know, property prices haven't gone up for 10 years or something and all the rest. Of course, in certain areas they have done. 9% less landlords in London, 9% less landlords. Wow, that's quite a lot, but it's not as bad as the south, of course. Southeast, sort of 15 down to 10% of landlords, so 15% of properties owned by landlords in 2015. Now it's 10%. The southwest, 11% down to 7%. So it's less at the southwest. I don't know why that would be, but certainly 7% is pretty meagre, isn't it? It's pretty mean. So where do you think it's risen? Because it has risen somewhere. And some of you who are canny investors already may have worked out this because you may already have property up there. So the Northeast went from 9% of properties owned by landlords in 2015 to 29% today. 29%. That is amazing. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Why is this? Well, cheap property prices, although probably not so cheap now that 29% of property bought by landlords, so that's probably, you know, will make a big difference. And if you own property up in the northeast, of course, you'll benefit from capital gain. That's something that the rest of the country hasn't gained for years. So that's good news. High yields equals best returns on the money you have invested. And of course, you've got two ways of looking at the money you've invested. You can look at it on the basis that, well, I've got a 70% mortgage, so the cash I've put in, the return on my cash could be 15, 18%, 20% even maybe, whereas the actual return on the total outlay, which is the money you've borrowed and your own cash, may just be 7, 8, 9, 10%. I would have thought in the northeast, our people must be averaging well over 10% returns, must be. In the south, the returns are, well, London is probably 3 or 4% return, and that's yield per annum on what you've invested. And I would have thought in most of the south, it's only 6, 7%. It's no better than that. Now, the one way to improve that, of course, is if you buy, say, a block of 3 flats, sell 2, keep 1, and you make a profit, and the one you've kept only cost you half what it should have done because you sold the others off at a profit, then you've got a fantastic return on your money. And that doesn't matter where you are. If that can be London, South, anywhere. So there we go. Hope that's of help. I think I'm going to be driving to the northeast shortly. See you next time.